He wasn't supposed to be alive, not like this. Not under a bridge, not sleeping on cardboard, not chasing breadcrumbs left behind by the world. But there he was, waking to the scent of yesterday's rain mixed with diesel and smoke. The cold bit through his coat, the same coat he'd worn for too many winters. His back ached from the concrete beneath him, and his stomach growled like a caged animal. Benjamin rubbed his eyes and sat up slowly. The roaring traffic above him sounded like 1,000 angry beasts. He pulled the frayed edges of his coat tighter, whispering the same prayer he did every morning. Not to God, but to himself. Find food. Find work. Don't give up. That was his religion now. Survival. His world fit inside a single nylon bag. 2 certificates no one cared about, a broken pen, and a photo so faded it looked like a ghost. He didn't look at the picture anymore. It hurt. A reminder that he hadn't always been invisible. He stood, joints protesting. Another day in a city that didn't see him. Lagos had a way of forgetting it's fallen. He moved along the edge of the underpass, scanning the ground for crumbs. A part of him had learned to shut down emotion, to stop feeling shame, hunger, hope. But today, something felt different. In the air, in his chest, like the weight of the sky was pressing lower. Then he heard it. I can't walk. Please help me. He froze. The voice was faint, almost like a thought. Maybe he was losing his mind. He turned slowly, eyes darting through the trash and broken bottles. Then he saw her, a woman, half lying, half crumpled against a concrete pillar. Her navy suit, once pressed and perfect, was soaked in mud. One high heel missing. Hair stuck to her face with sweat and dirt. Her lips were cracked. Her eyes wide, confused, afraid. She didn't belong here. She looked like she'd fallen from some boardroom into a nightmare. Benjamin's first instinct was to walk away. He wasn't a hero. He was a man the world had discarded. What help could he possibly offer? But then her eyes met his. Desperate. Pleading. Human. Madam, he called softly. Can you hear me? Her head moved. A weak nod. I can't stand. I'm dying. The fear in her voice broke something in him. She was a stranger. She was trouble. But she was also someone the world was about to forget, just like him. Without another thought, he stepped forward. It's okay. I'm here, he said, more to himself than her. He bent down, sliding one arm under her knees, the other behind her back. Her body was light, fragile, too light. Her perfume was faint, expensive, something from a life he used to know. As he lifted her, she didn't flinch at the dirt on his beard or the holes in his coat. She just clung to him, like a drowning woman clings to air. Hold on to me, he whispered. I've got you. He carried her out from under the bridge and into the blinding morning traffic. Horns screamed. Cars zoomed past. He waved at taxis, shouted, begged. Help. She needs help. One cab slowed, then sped off when they saw the mud on her suit, the man carrying her. Another, and another. Same story. Drivers looked, judged, vanished. Benjamin's arms burned. His legs wobbled. But he didn't stop. He couldn't. The woman in his arms was slipping away, her breath shallow. Stay with me, he begged. Don't close your eyes. My name, she whispered, lips barely moving. Sophia? Okay, Sophia. My name's Benjamin. You're safe. I'm taking you to the hospital. He kept talking, anything to keep her awake. Just breathe in and out. Keep breathing. He counted every street pole. 1, 2, 3. Every step felt like he was walking through fire. People stared. Some pointed. No one helped. The hospital gates finally appeared like a mirage. Blue sign. White walls. A different world. Help. He yelled. Please. Nurses rushed out. A stretcher appeared. Hands lifted her from his arms. The void left behind felt heavier than her body had been. She's breathing, one nurse called. Move now. Benjamin staggered in behind them, his heart pounding like thunder. Inside the emergency ward, everything moved fast. 4 lines, defibrillators, sharp voices. A nurse turned to him. Are you family? I found her, under the bridge. We need a deposit. She's critical. Benjamin froze. He had nothing. No money. Only those certificates. He pulled them from his bag with trembling fingers and laid them on the counter like a sacred offering. This is all I have. Please. Save her. I'll find the money. The nurse hesitated, looked at him, then nodded. We'll begin. But hurry. Benjamin ran. Out the door, into the light, past honking cars and shouting vendors. He had no idea where he was going. He only knew he had to do something. But fate didn't care about his promises. A screech, a horn, a flash. The impact came like a hammer. Then darkness. When light returned, it came in slivers. White ceiling, cold air, pain behind his eyes. Voices floated above him. Internal bleeding, head trauma, prep for surgery. He tried to speak, move, but the darkness pulled him down again. Across the hallway, Sophia lay unconscious, her body hooked to machines. Nurses whispered over her pale skin. She had power, wealth, a name that opened doors. But none of that had protected her. Only the stranger who now lay dying across the corridor. Hours passed. A red light flicked off above her room. She made it, a doctor said. She's in recovery. Monitor closely. But from Benjamin's room came only silence. We did what we could, the surgeon muttered. But he's slipping. We need a miracle. Sophia opened her eyes slowly, blinking at the sterile ceiling. Everything hurt. The first words out of her mouth were not about her company, her family, or even her survival. Where is he? She asked the nurse. The man who carried me? He's here, the nurse said softly. But it's serious. Sophia reached for the phone with trembling fingers. Amanda, she gasped when the line connected. On the other end, her assistant sobbed. Madam, you've been missing for 2 weeks. Where are you? Sophia closed her eyes. City Care Hospital. Bring security. Bring everything. And listen to me very carefully. Her voice changed, stronger, colder. There's a man here. He saved my life. Now he's dying. He must not die. Just then, alarms shrieked from across the ward. Benjamin's heart monitor flatlined. The doors burst open. Code blue, a doctor shouted. Sophia sat bolt upright in bed, pain forgotten. Benjamin, she cried, her voice cracking. She had survived. But the man who saved her was now slipping through death's door. And for the first time in her life, Sophia Williams felt truly powerless. The silence after a flatline is the loudest sound in the world. Sophia gripped the metal rail of her hospital bed so tightly her knuckles turned white. Through the glass wall, she saw them. Doctors, nurses, shadows moving fast around a still body. Machines beeped. A defibrillator charged. A voice shouted for more adrenaline. Benjamin wasn't moving. Her heart thundered. Not from fear. From fury. He had saved her. Twice. Dragged her from death. Carried her across a city that spat in his face. And now, when he needed saving, no one could do anything? No, she wouldn't accept that. Amanda burst into the room, breathless, her voice cracking. Madam, thank God, thank God. I thought you were dead. We all did. There were rumors, kidnappings, news reports. Sophia held up a trembling hand. Not now, Amanda. Listen carefully. Her voice had regained its steel. There's a man. His name is Benjamin. He saved me. They're fighting to keep him alive across the hall. We're going to save him. Whatever it takes. Call my lawyers. Bring the security team. Get the private jet ready. I want medical clearance to move him, tonight if necessary. Amanda's eyes widened. A man? Who is he? Sophia stared out the window, watching the chaos through the glass. Her eyes didn't blink. He's the reason I'm breathing. That's all you need to know. The hospital, once oblivious to the woman in the muddy suit, now shifted into overdrive. Word spread fast. Sophia Williams was here, alive, and the man who carried her from hell was now dying. The chief medical officer personally entered her room, lips pressed tight. We're doing everything we can, madam. But his injuries are extensive. There's brain swelling, fractures, internal bleeding. If he wakes, he may never walk again. Sophia didn't blink. If he wakes, you'll do whatever it takes to make him walk. The doctor looked at her for a long second, saw the resolve in her eyes, and gave a slight nod. 3 days passed. Sophia refused to leave the hospital. While the media speculated about her return, while investors panicked and the city whispered, she remained in that white-walled room, watching over a man no one had cared about until now. She had power, money, lawyers, but none of it meant anything here. All she could do was wait. Then, on the morning of the 4th day, she rose carefully from bed, her strength returning. Amanda pleaded with her to rest, but Sophia was already pulling on a fresh hospital robe. She walked, slowly, carefully, into the ward where Benjamin lay. He looked smaller now, Not like the man who carried her through the noise and heat. His beard had been trimmed, his hands cleaned, but he was still, too still. Sophia pulled a chair beside the bed and sat. She didn't speak for a long time, just watched him breathe. When she finally did, her voice was soft, barely a whisper. You saved me when no one would stop. You didn't know me. You didn't care who I was. You just lifted me. She reached out, brushed her fingers gently over his bandaged hand. They said you may never walk again, that you might never wake. But I don't believe that. Because the man who carried me through traffic with a broken body doesn't give up. Not now. She paused. Her voice trembled. If you wake up, Benjamin, I will change your life. I swear it. You'll never go back to that bridge. Not ever. That night, her promise took flight. A private jet landed quietly on a hidden strip outside Lagos. Medical specialists were waiting. The best. Benjamin was transferred like a precious artifact, guards surrounding the stretcher, Sophia walking alongside him. She didn't care what the headlines would say. Let them guess. On board, she sat by his side the entire flight, her hand never leaving his. She watched the machines breathe for him, watched the city lights fall away beneath them, and whispered again and again, "You must not die." The hospital they arrived at didn't smell of antiseptic. It smelled of order, precision, wealth. Walls gleamed white. Footsteps were soft. Voices efficient. A team of specialists surrounded Benjamin. Words floated in the air: craniotomy, hemorrhage, paralysis. Sophia stood silent in the hallway, jaw clenched. The lead surgeon approached. Measured. Confident. If he wakes, he may not walk again. Sophia's reply was immediate. Then make him walk. The surgeon looked uncertain, but nodded. The surgery took 9 hours. Sophia didn't sit. She paced. She didn't cry. She clenched her fists. She didn't pray until hour 7. And when the surgeon finally emerged, sweat on his brow, his voice was tired but calm. The operation was successful. Now we wait. 3 days later, at sunrise, Benjamin opened his eyes. It happened slowly, as if his body had forgotten how. He blinked at the ceiling, unsure where he was, turned his head, and saw her, Sophia, sitting beside him, still in the same white robe, hair pinned back, eyes tired but burning with hope. His voice came out like dry wind. You're alive." Sophia leaned closer. A tear slid down her cheek. "Yes, Benjamin. Thanks to you." He tried to smile, winced. Tears welled in his eyes. "I thought I lost you." Sophia took his hand gently. "No, you found me, and I will not lose you." By that evening, Benjamin moved his toes. The next day, he sat up. The doctors watched in awe. "This is impossible," one whispered. His spine, his brain. But Sophia only smiled through tears. "Nothing is impossible for a man who carried me a kilometer when the world ignored me." On the 5th day, Benjamin stood, trembling, wobbling, but standing. Sophia was beside him, her arm steadying his. "You're walking, Benjamin," she whispered. He looked at her, voice cracked. "I thought my life was finished." Sophia shook her head, eyes shining. "No, Benjamin, your life is just beginning." And in that bright room filled with sterile light and silent miracles, something sacred stirred. Hope. When a man who was once forgotten walks back into the city that buried him, he does not return as the same man. The private jet touched down at Murtala Muhammad International Airport under a sky painted gold with the last light of day. The tarmac glistened. Reporters waited. Sophia Williams, the lioness of Lagos, had returned from the dead, and she wasn't alone. Inside the jet, Benjamin sat upright, his palms sweating, a new suit hanging loose on his thinner frame. Beside him, Sophia was poised, back straight, eyes sharp. "When we step out," she said quietly, "they'll ask questions. Don't flinch. Walk beside me. You are under my protection now." Benjamin nodded, though his stomach churned. He wasn't used to protection. He was used to being invisible. As the doors opened, flashbulbs exploded. Shouts rang out. "Madam Williams, where were you taken? Who is the man with you? Is it true you were rescued by a beggar?" Security closed in fast, blocking the cameras, shielding them from the storm. Benjamin caught his reflection in the black SUV window. He barely recognized the man staring back. But behind them, unnoticed, another SUV waited with headlights dimmed. Inside, 2 men sat in silence. "She brought him back," one whispered into a phone. "She's protecting him. We can't allow that." The convoy slipped through the city like a snake through tall grass. Benjamin watched Lagos blur past, neon lights, shouting hawkers, familiar corners now foreign. This city had chewed him up, spat him out. And yet, here he was. Sophia broke the silence. Tomorrow, you'll come to the office. I'll introduce you to the board. Benjamin shifted uncomfortably. They'll never accept me. I don't belong in your world, Sophia. You know that. Sophia looked at him, calm, unwavering. They'll accept you because I trust you. And I don't abandon the people who save me. Her voice held something rare. Not just power. Loyalty. Before he could reply, tires screeched. The convoy jerked to a halt. A truck blocked the road ahead. Behind them, that dark SUV cut across, boxing them in. Sophia's lead guard leapt out. Stay down, he barked. Then chaos. Masked men spilled out, guns drawn. The air split with gunfire. The night turned to smoke and screams. Benjamin grabbed Sophia, pushing her down, shielding her with his body as glass shattered around them. Stay low, he shouted. One guard fired back. Another dragged Sophia from the wrecked door, shoving her behind a wall of SUVs. Benjamin followed, until two men tackled him to the ground. Fists slammed into his ribs. You should have stayed under the bridge, one hissed. You should have died there. Benjamin's vision blurred, but something burned inside him. He fought back, elbowed one in the gut, twisted the other's wrist until a weapon clattered to the ground. The fight was savage, raw. He was losing, until a gunshot cracked the air. Sophia's guard fired into the sky. The masked attackers scattered. And then, silence. They were safe. For now. Later that night, Sophia's mansion in Banana Island stood like a fortress. Guards at every corner. Spotlights cutting through the dark. Inside, marble floors gleamed under crystal chandeliers, but the tension was heavier than steel. Sophia paced, furious. They dared attack me. In my city. Amanda hovered nearby, pale. Ma'am, the police are investigating. But this wasn't random. They knew your route. Sophia stopped. Her voice went cold. Inside Betrayal. Benjamin sat quietly, nursing bruises, a glass of water shaking in his hand. He hadn't spoken much since the attack. But now he looked up. One of the men knew me. He said I should have stayed under the bridge. That I was supposed to be gone. Sophia frowned. Why would they know you? Benjamin hesitated, then answered. Before I lost everything. I worked in cybersecurity. Not just for banks. For government agencies. I built firewalls that exposed money trails, illegal transfers. My wife betrayed me and ran. I thought I lost only my peace. But maybe I lost more. The room went still. Sophia studied him, her voice soft. Someone didn't want you found. Benjamin nodded. And now they know I'm back. That I'm with you. We're both targets. That night, he stood alone on the balcony of his guest suite, watching Lagos blink under the moonlight. For years, he'd watched these lights from gutters. Now he stood in a mansion, but peace still felt far away. There was a knock. Sophia entered quietly, in a silk robe, her face softer now. You saved me again tonight, she said. Benjamin shook his head. I reacted. It was your guards. No, she said firmly. You threw yourself in front of me. Again. A silence stretched between them. She stepped closer. Her hand brushed his arm. Something sparked, but she pulled away quickly. Her voice clouded. You should rest. Tomorrow will be difficult. The board will fight you. And now, with these attacks, we can't trust anyone. Benjamin nodded, but his voice was low. They don't just want to silence you, Sophia. They want me erased. Until we find out why, none of us are safe. Sophia turned back to him, her voice like a whisper wrapped in steel. Then we fight them. Together. Across the lagoon, unseen, the same black SUV idled in darkness. Inside, a man with sharp eyes scrolled through old government files. Benjamin's photo glowed on his screen, a younger man, in a suit, smiling. The man made a call. Yes, it's him. The ghost we thought buried. A pause. If Sophia protects him, she'll fall with him. And in the shadows of Lagos, a plan began to move. Power is loud, but betrayal is quiet. By morning, the glass towers of Williams' group shimmered under the Lagos sun like nothing had happened. No one could see the scars, the shadows crawling beneath the surface. Not the guards doubling at the gates. Not the whispered calls in dark corners. And certainly not the man about to walk into the heart of it all. Benjamin adjusted his suit jacket, standing beside Sophia outside the boardroom doors. He was clean now, trimmed, dressed in gray tailored fabric. But inside, he still felt like a man with mud on his hands. Sophia touched his arm. "Walk in like you belong. Because you do." He gave a tight nod. The doors opened. Silence fell as they entered. The boardroom was a polished battlefield, walls of glass, a table of gleaming mahogany, faces carved in suspicion and disdain. Men and women in expensive suits whispered, exchanged glances. Everyone had heard. The CEO was back. With him, Chief Betrayal, round with arrogance, sat at the head. His gold cufflinks gleamed. He didn't rise. Sophia did. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, "this is Benjamin Attawell. He saved my life. Today, I'm appointing him head of cybersecurity for Williams Group." The room erupted. "Impossible," Betrayal barked. "Madam, with respect, this is madness. A man from the street. A man from the street carried me across Lagos while none of you even picked up the phone," Sophia snapped. Another director, face pinched, muttered, "What will investors say?" Sophia's voice cut through them like glass. "They'll say I value loyalty. This man has more integrity than half this table." Benjamin stood slowly, clearing his throat. "I understand your doubt. I do. I was one of you once. But life doesn't always give warnings before it breaks you. I lost everything. But I didn't lose my sense of right and wrong. When I saw your CEO dying under a bridge, I didn't walk away." He paused, voice low. "If I'm not welcome, say so. But ask yourselves, when your company is under attack, do you want someone who's only known comfort or someone who's fought to stay alive?" A long silence followed. Betrayal's lips tightened. Sophia ended it. "The matter is settled. He stays." Later that day, Benjamin sat alone in his new office. The walls were bare. The air smelled of new carpet and silent judgment. But when he opened the laptop, something clicked. The code. The language. The rhythm. This he understood. His fingers moved like old dancers on a familiar stage. Firewalls. Protocols. Passwords. Then he saw it, an anomaly. Hidden deep in the system. Digital footprints. Someone had been here. Recently. Someone skilled. Benjamin's stomach tightened. The system had been breached. Before he could trace it, a knock came. "Amanda." She stepped in, looking around nervously. "Be careful," she whispered. "Some board members, they're not happy. Betrayal especially." Benjamin nodded, still scanning the screen. "There's more," Amanda added. "I overheard something. He called you the ghost." Benjamin froze. "What?" "That was the word. He said, we can't let the ghost stay alive." It was the same phrase the attackers had used. Benjamin forced a calm smile. "Thank you, Amanda. Don't tell Sophia. Not yet." That evening, Sophia invited him to dinner. Not in a restaurant. At her private residence. The mansion was quieter now. Tighter. Heavily guarded. They sat across a long table, candlelight flickering between them. The food was untouched. "You were impressive today," she said, pouring him wine. "They were ready to tear you apart." Benjamin smiled faintly. "Fear never leaves. I've just learned to walk with it." Sophia studied him, then leaned forward. "My company's been breached, hasn't it?" Benjamin didn't blink. "Yes. Deep inside. Someone left digital fingerprints. They accessed financial files. It's not just a rival. This is personal." Sophia nodded. "Do you know who?" "Not yet. But they're good. And they had help." She leaned closer, voice low. "Find them. Expose them. I trust you. With the company. With my life." They sat in that silence for a moment too long. Her eyes didn't leave his. Neither did his. But before anything else could rise between them, the head of security burst in. "Ma'am, we've just been alerted. There's been a breach at the vault." Sophia stood instantly. "What kind of breach?" The guard hesitated. They used old government-level codes. Clearance connected to him. Everyone turned to Benjamin. His voice broke. "That's not possible. I haven't used those codes in years." The room was silent. "Someone is framing me." Benjamin returned to his office that night. He dug deep. Firewalls. Backdoors. Hidden layers. And then he found it. An IP address masked behind 6 proxies. A digital breadcrumb leading to a shell company. And the name behind that company? Chief Betrayal. The very man who wanted him gone. Benjamin reached for his phone. The lights in his office flickered. The computer went black. A voice crackled through the speakers. Distorted. Cold. "You should have stayed under the bridge, Benjamin. He turned. The room was empty. Red words appeared on the screen. Phase 2 begins tonight. At dawn, Sophia called an emergency board meeting. The directors sat stiffly, eyes darting. Whispers spread. Baymidle stood. Madam Williams has lost control. Her mansion burned. Her tech director is a criminal. I call for her removal. Then the doors opened. Benjamin walked in, holding a flash drive and a thick folder. He didn't hesitate. Before you cast votes, see this. He plugged in the drive. Screens lit up. Account logs. Offshore transfers. Shell companies. Millions siphoned over years. All linked to Baymidle. Gasps. That's a lie. Baymidle roared. He forged it. Benjamin stepped forward. I built the firewall you tried to erase. Every theft. Every trace. I have it all. Sophia's voice rang out. Guards. Security moved fast. Baymidle fought, shouting as they dragged him away. The same board that had mocked Benjamin now averted their eyes. Sophia stood tall. For once, let the truth have its moment. But truth didn't protect from vengeance. Hours later, police burst into Benjamin's office. You're under arrest for cyber theft and espionage. What? He shouted. I just exposed the thief. They didn't care. Cuffs clamped around his wrists. He was dragged through the halls. Cameras flashed. Employees stared. Whispered. He was the man who saved Sophia's life. And now, once again, no one reached out to help. The police station smelled of sweat and rusted keys. Benjamin sat in a cold cell, his mind racing. Would Sophia believe him? Had he lost everything again? Then, footsteps. The door creaked open. Sophia stood there. Behind her, a lawyer. 2 guards. Her eyes were fire. I know the truth, she said. My lawyer traced everything. You were right. Baymidle framed you. But that's not the worst of it. Benjamin stood. What do you mean? Her voice dropped. Phase 2. It's real. Tonight, they're coming again. But this time, they're coming to kill. And the cell lights flickered, just like the office. Benjamin whispered. Then we're out of time. Back at her mansion, security was tripled. They reinforced the windows, guarded the tunnels. But both Sophia and Benjamin knew. This wasn't over. And what came next wouldn't just threaten their lives. It would shatter everything. Some wars are fought in boardrooms, others in silence. But the real ones, the ones that define us, are fought when no one is watching. The night was too quiet. Sophia stood in her study, the air still heavy with smoke from the earlier fire. Her mansion, though repaired, felt less like a fortress and more like a stage waiting for its final act. Benjamin sat opposite her, bruised, calm, but alert. He didn't need to say it. They both felt it. It's tonight, she whispered. He nodded. Across Lagos, lights glittered like broken glass. The same city that had forgotten them once was now holding its breath. Somewhere in those shadows, Chief Baymidle was preparing for Phase 3. He wants us gone, Sophia said quietly. Not just out of the company. Gone. Benjamin leaned forward. Then we give him what he wants. She looked up, startled. Not our lives, he clarified. A trap. By midnight, her mansion transformed. Security formed a false perimeter, leaving one path open, on purpose. Inside, lights were dimmed. Guards hidden. Sophia walked the halls with purpose, her mind sharp. Benjamin worked in her office, setting up firewalls, monitoring surveillance feeds. At 2:13 a.m., the cameras caught them. A convoy. 3 unmarked black SUVs. No plates. No lights. Inside them, men in masks, rifles, earpieces. Professional. Swift. Ruthless. They stormed the mansion with quiet precision. But Sophia and Benjamin were gone. Underground. Hidden in the secret passage her father had once used to escape political threats. Now, it would serve again. Through a network of tunnels, they reached the shoreline behind the mansion. A single guard waited with a boat. They boarded silently, the engine humming low. As the mansion exploded behind them, flames lighting the sky, they didn't flinch. Benjamin turned to Sophia. Next time, we burn their house. By dawn, the news spread like wildfire. Sophia Williams attacked again. Mansion destroyed. Suspected corporate sabotage. The media ate it up. But inside Williams Group HQ, the real war began. Sophia called for an emergency vote. All board members present. Except one. Chief Baymidle. Until the doors slammed open. And he walked in. Unbothered. Smiling. Good morning, he said, voice like syrup. Sorry I'm late. Busy night. Sophia didn't move. Neither did Benjamin, seated beside her now in his rightful place. This ends today, Sophia said. Agreed, Betrayal replied, adjusting his watch. Benjamin plugged in a device. The screens lit up. A full audit of Williams Group. Every shell company. Every offshore transfer. Linked to Betrayal. Linked to men in the SUV convoy. One image froze the room. A live video of the masked men, captured near the lagoon, confessing their orders. Sophia stood. Your empire is over. Betrayal's smile vanished. He turned to flee, but the doors locked. Police burst in, guns drawn. He was arrested in silence. This time, no one defended him. In the weeks that followed, order returned. Williams Group rebounded. Investors praised Sophia's resilience. And behind every recovery was Benjamin. Quiet, brilliant, rebuilding what had been broken. He never sought the spotlight. But the world couldn't ignore him. One evening, as the city softened into gold, Sophia and Benjamin stood on her new balcony. The mansion had been rebuilt, stronger, smarter, filled with light and steel. Sophia watched the skyline, her voice barely above a whisper. Do you regret saving me? Benjamin turned. His face weathered, but gentle. No, he said. Saving you saved me. A long silence passed. She reached for his hand. Then marry me. Benjamin blinked. Sophia laughed softly. Yes, I'm asking you. His voice trembled. I thought of this moment every day. I even bought a ring. He pulled it from his pocket. Small, silver, simple. She gasped. You were waiting? I was scared. She smiled, eyes shining. So was I. 2 months later, Lagos witnessed a wedding unlike any in its history. The once homeless man who saved the queen of industry now stood beside her at the altar. He wore white agbada with gold embroidery. She, a lace gown woven with diamonds. The world watched, cried, applauded. But in their eyes, it wasn't about the cameras. It was about a bridge, a muddy suit, and a second chance. Years passed. They built an empire together. Cybersecurity, philanthropy, education programs. Sophia and Benjamin became symbols of hope, not perfection, but perseverance. Yet one dream remained distant. Children. They tried, waited, prayed. Doctors shrugged. There's no reason, they said. Still, none came. The world whispered. But inside their home, they found peace in other ways. Books, laughter, quiet, and each other. One evening, Sophia sat beside Benjamin on their rooftop. The city below buzzed with life. She leaned into him. Maybe this is our story, she said softly. No heirs. Just us. Benjamin looked at her. You gave me more than a child ever could. You gave me back my name. They held each other as the stars blinked awake. In the end, it wasn't about revenge, or titles, or headlines. It was about two souls who met in the mud and chose to rise, together. They had no crown, no throne, just fire and grace. And in a world quick to forget, their love was the thing no one could ignore.